We are on the way to Elba and we just arrived at the harbor where the ferry from Piombino Marittima will take us to Porto Ferraia. And it's really cool, we have a lot of different boats here. We already saw the Batman boat over there and we just saw Hydrofoil leaving, which is a really cool boat. Now we're waiting for the one that will take us to Isla di Elba. But before we board the ferry, let's have a little flashback to what we did the last few weeks. We did some wolf tracing in the Apennine Mountains in Abruzzo. It was an amazing experience, and not only did we hike in an impressive landscape and saw many other animals and even tracks of bears, we managed to spot 2 wolves, which was an amazing and beautiful encounter. We also were in Napoli and visited Europe's only supervolcano and the semi-famous city that was buried by Vesuvio. We wanted to shoot an amazing video here, but the incredible bad weather kept us from exploring and filming, so we had to postpone this one. Well, time to board the boat. And look how cool it is. This one even comes with an indoor playground for kids and an arcade gaming area for the older kids like me. What's really cool on most of the ferries I've been to yet is that you can just stroll around to most of the areas. And this is really cool, you can just enjoy the ship, the view from outside if there is good weather like today. So maybe we're just gonna sit outside there and check the water. Maybe we're lucky and see some whales or dolphins. Directly after leaving the port of Piombino, you see the island of Elba right in front of you. And while we weren't lucky in seeing dolphins or whales, we had these amazing views while approaching our destination. Another thing I love about arriving somewhere by boat is that you have these unique views of the city you disembark in. Welcome to Elba. And welcome to Marciana. This is where we'll stay until March. And this is what we see from our window. We make Workaway here. If you've never heard about it, it's basically work for accommodation and food. We are mainly keeping the house clean and fixing things in the garden for a few hours per day. Workaway is for me just a great additional way of traveling, a perfect way to get in touch with the locals, see their real lives. It allows you to stay for a longer time as many of your usual coasts while traveling fall flat. This is usually a guest house designed for yoga courses. You can check it out by the link in the description. It's about 15 minutes by foot from the town of Marciana. Marciana is one of the oldest on the island. First appearance in old scripts are from around 35 AD. It's a lovely little town, quite famous for its craftsmanship and art. Yet all these stores are closed in the winter as there is nearly no tourism at all. When you walk through the narrow streets, you should pay attention to all the little details and the beautiful plants that the locals cover all the walls and pubs with. A short walk out of town there is the Cabinovia, a pretty unique cable car which makes its way on the top to Monte Capanne, with its 1019 meters the highest point of Elba. The cable car operates only in a relatively short season from June until the end of August. When we arrived here, we had some bad weather with unusually low temperatures and rain, and as we see to the top of the Monte Capanne from our apartment, we also had the view of a completely snow-covered peak, which only happens every few years for a day or two. Another little town we can see from a place is Poggio. There are some restaurants and a little shop which sells local products. Well, it's winter so everything is closed, but also this little place has something that makes it unique. Just behind me you see a very special fountain. It's named after Napoleon, because while being in exile here on Isla di Elba, he always came by here and got himself some fresh mineral water, which he was sure, and people are also until today, that it is preventing hair loss. We will see. Let's hope for the best. Now that my hair are safe, Let's go hike to the top of Monte Capanne, the highest point of Elba. Starting from Marciana, it's a more or less easy hike, which first leads us passing some small streams, followed by a massive chestnut forest. This is another species introduced by humans, which is now a pretty dominant tree in some parts of the island. The fruits are still used today fresh, dried and also as flour. In Poggio there is an annual fest celebrating all the products of the chestnut, from main dishes over desserts, bread to beer. Our first stop is the Romitorio di San Ciabone. The little chapel was built just after the death of Bishop Ciabone, who came to Elba fleeing from the Lombards in the year of 575. The Grotta di San Ciabone is only 300 meters from the chapel, and it's the place where the bishop used to live for about 2 years.
Along the whole way we can see a lot of presence of wild boars and mouflon, both animals who were introduced in the 1960s and 70s, I think, and are not native to Elba, but due to the lack of predators, they just reproduce and reproduce. You can always see their presence, like just right behind me. There is an area where the wild boars clean themselves and cooling them off on hot summer days. I'm pretty sure we will find some mouflons today, because we even see them from the house nearly every day. The boars are a bit more tricky. They are a total shadow during daytime because they're resting. So we just crossed the GTE North. It's called Grande Traversata Elbana, and it's the long distance hiking trail for the island, which crosses in 3 to 4 days the whole island from west to east or east to west, depending on how you want to walk it. We're definitely gonna walk this one at a later point, maybe when it's a bit warmer, so we can sleep in a tent.
After walking out of the chestnut forest, we reach the macchia with its typical plants like the heather, helichrysum, stone oaks and strawberry trees. The path continues on pretty flat slopes, which allows you to enjoy the views a little more. Then we arrived in a stone oak wood and it went really dark and mystic. This is also where we took a turn and the trail finally got steep.
Okay, what we have here is an old shepherd's hut. I actually looked it up how they are called in Italian and I forgot it. Anyway, back in the days, the shepherds were using those huts in bad weather conditions as a shelter, of course. They even could make fire inside. They even used these huts to produce fresh cheese.
There are still a lot of those caprilli on the island. You can find them especially while hiking in the higher areas. They all follow quite the same idea, but also everyone is built in a unique way itself. Caprilli is, by the way, the Italian word for goats, the plural of capra. After considering if a life in a caprilli would be suitable for us, we reached the only really steep part of the path. There was also a lot of snow and ice left in the last section, which really needed to be hiked very carefully. We also found first tracks of mouflon in the snow. And then we slowly reached the peak. Up here are even more buildings than I expected. We can see the antennas from our apartment, but here are even a little cafe which probably opens simultaneously with the Cabino Via. We were not the only visitors of Monte Capanne on this day. We saw 3 mouflon enjoying the sun on the south side of the top. These wild sheeps are a pretty controversial topic on the island of Elba, but we're gonna go into detail about this another time. The European mouflon originally lived only on the neighboring islands of Sardinia and Corsica.
So we just reached the top, and I'm gonna be a little bit quiet because we just saw some mouflons and I don't want to stress them. And what should I say? The view is pretty nice, but also like the top is just next to these all these antennas you see also from where we stay. It's a bit weird, like the infrastructure here is kind of better than, I don't know, in some places we've been on the Via Francigena, and also like all these fences here on the top, it's, in my opinion, it's complete bullshit, because also with the gondola, I think it's better when people are not capable of walking in the mountains, then they should just stay down there, and it's yeah, that's my opinion on this, because this is absolute bullshit.
Let's concentrate on the positive things, like the spectacular views you get from the top. You see over the whole island until Capo Oliveri, famous for its mines and orchids, the island of Pianosa, which is an incredible nature reserve, both places we would want to visit in future episodes. Marciana Marina, the capital of Elba, Portoferraio, until the Italian mainland. There is a lot to see and to explore on the island of Elba, and we're looking forward to that very much. For today, there is only the way down left. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel and follow our journey. Until then, stay safe and have a great day.
Bitte, macht's auf!